our team at World Without Exploitation sat down with Liz, and truthfully, she was a little frustrated. She was feeling that everybody was talking about survivors, but nobody was truly listening to survivors.
Good morning. I rewinded it because they started early. They were supposed to start at 10:30 a.m. and they've already started, it appears. So, and I think that is because there is a scheduled flyover of the White House from the military at 11 a.m., which would have disrupted their speeches. So here we go.
What Liz reminds us is that courage is contagious. You will not see one woman walk up here alone. She will walk up in solidarity with her survivor sisters. And that is deliberate because this movement is all about solidarity. When one person steps forward, we all have the courage to step forward. All right, let's do it. Liz, come on up here. Liz is joined this morning with 4 of her sisters. 4 women in our World We Survivor Training Fellowship. Please welcome Gigi, LJ, Jessica, and Terry. There has never been a more urgent moment. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Gabrielle Prieto, and it is an honor to welcome you here today. To every survivor present and to every ally standing with us, your courage, your solidarity, and your presence are powerful. We also thank our partners, World Weed and the Coalition, for uniting this moment of hope and determination. As we gather on the Capitol Hill today, because survivors of Epstein, Maxwell, and countless others have said, we want to be seen, we want to be heard, and we want to be safe. This is not about politics. This is about survivor, lead, a sister in this movement, and a voice of resilience. She stands not only for herself, but for the countless others who have been silenced. Please join me in welcoming Liz Stein to the podium. Thank you.
Yeah! Good morning, everyone. Oh, wow. Welcome. Looking out into this crowd, it's
Good
so
morning,
hard to
Kava.
believe that
Morning,
this
Irina.
is all
I'm just getting
happening.
situated
It was
here 'cause I
born out
wasn't
of
expecting
frustration,
this to
sitting
start yet.
around a kitchen table, and look at us here today. I'm really blown away with all of this support. There is definitely power in numbers. Today, we're here to celebrate the great strength of my survivor sisters who are here in Washington, and to all of you who came out today to stand with survivors. My name is Liz Stein. I am a speaker, writer, educator, and activist in the anti-trafficking movement. I am a World Without Exploitation Stand Fellow, and I am also a survivor of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. I met Ghislaine when I was a senior in college. I was just 21 years old. Maxwell introduced me to Jeffrey Epstein later on that day. That evening was the sliding glass doors moment that changed the trajectory of my entire life. I was once bright, fun, outgoing, and kind. I loved people, and people genuinely enjoyed being around me. But after meeting Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, it felt like someone shut off the lights to my soul. Instead of pursuing my dream of going to law school after graduation,
we arrived on scene.
Hello.
And as we walked in,
and the trauma that was inflicted on me by these sex traffickers. Overcoming that became my decades-long full-time career. As sisters, as survivors, we're initiated into a sisterhood. We're in a sorority that none of us asked to join, but we all stand here today strong,
stronger together because our collective voice is powerful. We stand together also to honor the beautiful souls who lost their lives in the pursuit of getting justice for Maxwell and Epstein's crimes.
That was content that I intended to show you guys. I have the 1 minute Epstein video clip that the Oversight Committee released, the missing 1 minute. And then I have a short clip on a Jacksonville boy just down the road, about 10 minutes away, that went to a Chick-fil-A by himself. But we'll get to it after.
I want to humanize sex trafficking survivors for you all just for one moment. We are not others. We are your sisters, your friends, your colleagues. We are in your community. Think about the women that you love, and then think about them being the victim of sexual assault. It's uncomfortable, and it's hard to think about. Could you stand for their abuse? I hope not. This is a crime that, by our Justice Department's own admission, has 1,000 victims. 1,000 victims. Do you know 1,000 people? Think of the enormity of that. Could you be okay with a crime happening in your community to 1,000 girls and young women and not holding the perpetrators accountable? I think not. The government's mishandling of this case has silenced our truth from the start. Nevertheless, beginning with Maria Farmer in 1996, the survivors of this crime have been relentless in speaking out and seeking justice, oftentimes at great risk to our own safety and well-being. It is the voices of survivors. I'm going to repeat that because it bears repeating. It is the voices of survivors of these crimes that are important. So we are here together. We are here together to stand united. And I want to uplift the words of someone who can't be with us today, but who has inspired us all in different ways. So to quote the late Virginia Giuffre, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers need to show that the battle lines are drawn and stand together to fight for the future of victims. Is protesting the answer? I don't know, but we've got to start somewhere. And we are here today to start somewhere. So if you are watching us from home, if you're in the audience and you believe that you should stand with survivors, show us your support. Hashtag stand with survivors. Thank you.
We have the Donna Adelson live feed at the bottom right. Nothing's going on and it's muted, but there are rumors and speculation that she may take the stand today. Not sure if that's true, but nonetheless, there's a live feed down at the bottom.
Farmer, Virginia's incredible family, and Teresa Helm.
Good morning. We come together in the nation's capital at this watershed moment for survivors. They're demanding justice, they're demanding accountability, and they're demanding action. For far too long, Maxwell and Epstein committed crimes throughout our country and our world, and it's time to hold those that facilitated those crimes accountable. We've heard a lot of words for many, far too many years. It's time finally for action. Earlier this year, many of you know that we lost a dear friend and a client of mine, Virginia Jeffrey. Her wonderful family is with us here today. I can tell you that she would have loved this moment. It would have been so special for her to see all of you here today. And I know she's with us. And what she would want you to hear today is stay strong and keep fighting for justice. Thank you. I'm going to take a moment to read from one of our...
Good morning, Shri. We are sort of live with this. They were supposed to start at 10:30 a.m. They started early. I am, again, guessing it's because of this flyover scheduled at the White House at 11, which would drown out the noise temporarily, I guess. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I'm guessing it was scheduled for 10:30. I confirmed, Irina confirmed, and then they began early. So we're not live. We're a little behind, about 20 minutes behind, but I wanted to listen in to each victim.
Especially those who can no longer speak, those both alive and dead. For years, the truth about Epstein has been covered up. They say there's no Epstein list. Speak to us. It's time to dig deeper, do the financial research. It's clear that for years there has been a big cover-up. We have all been lied to. It's especially difficult for victims of Epstein to move on when it's thrown in their face daily through the media without any closure. The public has now become the victims of this as well. We have all been badly hurt by this. It's time for the truth to come out. It's time to stand up for victims of all crimes. It's time for the perpetrators to be held accountable. Thank you for being here and for standing by myself and other victims. Together we will make change. There is strength in numbers, and we will do it together. From Juliette Bryant. And now I'd like to introduce Annie Farmer.
Good morning, Nerdbird Mafia.
Much for being here today.
This is Donald Trump, mustard on the beat hoe. Debo any rap nephew, he a free throw. Man down, call an Amber Lance for Joe Biden, tell him breathe, bro.
Years of cancer treatment, I'm unable to be here today. My sister, Annie Farmer, will speak for me. She is a primary reason that I reported Epstein, Maxwell, and others to the FBI in 1996 after they assaulted us in 2 different locations and held me captive at Wexner's estate, while Maxwell also stole photos that were my private art studies and twisted them into child sexual abuse materials, harming my sisters and myself. In 2006, the FBI demanded my testimony for a federal trial, promising justice, but failed again. For 30 years, I've fought not only sex traffickers, but a federal government that has enabled them, while that same government fully ignored teen safety and my many FOIA report requests. After 3 decades of failure, I am suing them for answers. Virginia Giuffre's heroism, speaking her truth, her humility, her bravery, and love ended my 14 years of fear and silence. She is the heart of this fight. Please take a moment of silence for her. And I would just like to say, speaking for myself now, how very much it means to see this show of solidarity today. After feeling so isolated and alone for so many years with this fight, it's incredible to see all of you standing here and to feel the support coming from elsewhere as well. Since I've come out publicly in this case, I've received so many notes and messages from people who have been impacted by this story because of how much they relate to the struggles involved in this story. Unfortunately, that's because so many people are affected by these crimes. We have a huge, widespread issue with child sexual abuse, with sexual violence against women, with abuse of power in all forms that leads to all forms of trafficking. Right? And so I truly believe when you're facing problems at this scale It requires this type of force of coming together, creative solutions around not just the punishment of these very guilty perpetrators, but also education, so people know the signs and understand the signs and can recognize the things that I didn't recognize when I was being, lured into this world. So I'm so grateful for organizations that do this work. Thank you for World Without Exploitation for hosting this and for doing the very, very important work of education. And I just want to thank all of you. I think we all have a role to play in coming together to change these very challenging situations that we face and to solve these problems. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sky Roberts, and I'm here today with my wife, Amanda Roberts, and my brother, Daniel Wilson. We are proud and heartbroken to be standing here before you as the family of Virginia Roberts Giuffre. Virginia is not only our sister, she is a warrior, a survivor. And even though she is no longer with us in body, her voice, her courage, and her fight live on through every one of us here today. We want to start by saying thank you to the survivors who show unimaginable strength simply by standing here, to World Without Exploitation, whose tireless work helps turn pain into purpose, and to every person who refuses to stay silent, even when the world makes it easier to look away. It is an honor, a true privilege to stand with you, to support you, and to help keep Virginia's voice alive. Virginia fought for truth. She fought to expose a system that allowed the wealthy, the connected, and the powerful to exploit and abuse girls and young women without consequence. She fought for every survivor who was silenced, doubted, or discarded. And she never backed down, even when the world tried to break her. Today we rally not only in her memory, but in solidarity with every survivor. We are here to say, we see you, we believe you, and we will not stop until justice is served. Because justice is not selective. It does not and must not bend to money, influence, or titles. We are here because every survivor deserves more than a headline. They deserve more than a single conviction. They deserve the full weight of the law behind them. Our demands are clear. Elaine Maxwell must remain in a maximum security prison for the rest of her life. No leniency, no deals, no special treatment. The Epstein documents must be unsealed. Every name, every detail, no more secrets.
You have your answer
no
right
more
there, Lori.
protection for those who preyed on the vulnerable. And finally, we demand full accountability from every enabler, every accomplice, every person in power who turned a blind eye. The justice system was not designed to serve the powerful. It was meant to protect the people. And it's time it started doing just that. This movement isn't just about the past. It's about reshaping the future. A future where survivors are not shamed, silenced, or ignored, but heard, honored, and empowered. Thank you. Thank you for standing here, for fighting alongside us, and for refusing to let this story end with injustice. Virginia's voice echoes in every one of us. Let's make sure the world keeps listening. I want to end it with a quote from Virginia, and I'm going to hand it over to my wife, Amanda.
This is a quote from
Virginia's journals. I look forward to the days when money and power does not stop the truth from coming out and the righteous prevail.
Thank you.
Well, good morning. I am Teresa J. Helm. I am a survivor of
Good morning,
Maxwell
Nerdbird
and
Mafia.
and I
This is
work
Donald.
with the National Center on Sexual Exploitation here in Washington, D.C., very proudly. And today, I stand here as an expert of my lived experience at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, or as I first knew her as, Miss Maxwell. I was systematically recruited, trafficked across this great nation, groomed, and assaulted. Ghislaine, it was your butler that greeted me at the front door of your beautiful home, and it was your calm, manipulative, and fraudulent demeanor that cultivated my trust.
Is that true, Irina? Because that 61-second video is part of that document release, and we haven't seen that minute video. So, I mean, I can imagine some of it's been released, but some of it hasn't because we haven't seen that 1-minute video.
Of you and Jeffrey through sexual violence. It was you who sent me off to the home of a monster, knowing what was waiting for me. Ghislaine Maxwell, you are the system. And now, your very own choices and actions. A prison system where you deserve to live for every moment of your 20-year sentence.
Yeah, I imagine there's stuff in there that we haven't seen. I imagine there's some that we have or public has seen. But you see here, 61-second clip from inside New York City's Metropolitan Correctional Center surfaced among more than 33,000 newly released files on Epstein. The media saying newly released. I don't know why they're using it. Sounds like partially new. I don't know.
And dodged accountability. We've heard her voice. Now hear ours, loud and clear. Systems built with a root of corruption, violence, and deceit always crumble. That time is coming. Your pseudo-power has diminished. It is our time in the power of justice, of common sense. It's our system now.
Hear the victim speaking in the background. The video here you see on the screen is the 1 minute that was missing.
To sift through and get rid of the perpetrators and bad actors. This imminent shift is how our country operates. It's how we will secure this nation's future. And the world is watching. And before I step away, I wanted to add one quick thought. Let's stop calling it an Epstein client list. And let's call it what it actually is. It's Epstein's sex buyer list. Thank you.
I'm so proud and honored to be here today. My name is Lisa Phillips, and I'm the host of award-winning podcast From Now On, where I interview survivors. In the year 2000, I was taken to Jeffrey Epstein's island while on a photo shoot in the Caribbean. Who I saw and what I experienced there would change me forever. For months, I had to avoid Jeffrey, but he told me that if I wanted to succeed as a Ford model, he could make it happen. And he was right. He introduced me to Katie Ford. Someone like me in, he could also destroy my career if I did not do what he wanted me to do. In New York City, countless young women were abused by him. Everyone in the industry knew, yet he was too powerful to stop. He had friends in all over entertainment and arts, and his value to those friends made him untouchable. But I ask you, why? Who was he to our government that he was allowed to operate openly for decades? Why was he allowed to sponsor visas for young models, using their immigration status as leverage to abuse them and silence them? Epstein was not just a serial predator. He was an international human trafficker. And many around him knew this. Many participated, and many profited. And yet he was protected. I know what it's like to be trafficked to others. I know that the files contain the names of powerful men who have been shielded because of their fame or their fortune. So I stand here today, not just for myself, but for every woman who has been silenced, exploited, and dismissed. Thank you. And we are not asking for pity. We are demanding accountability. Congress must choose.
Good morning,
Will
Cindy.
you continue to protect predators, or will you finally protect survivors? Transparency is justice. Release the files, end the secrecy, and stand with us in declaring that no one, no billionaires, no politicians, not world leaders, is above the law. And let me announce now, several of us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list of names.
Good morning, J. Marie.
Yes. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details on that. Because history is watching, and so are the women who will come after us. Thank you.
Good morning, Nerdbird Mafia. This is Donald Trump.
If that's not
Mustard
bravery,
on the
I
beat,
do
ho.
not know what is.
Debo any rap nephew, he a free throw. Man down, calling Amber Lance for Joe Biden, tell him breathe, bro.
Danny, Jess, Haley, and Wendy, come on up.
Okay. Well, this will be fun. So my name is Ashley Rubright, and I am a survivor of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Some things I want to say. To any survivors out there who feel like they don't matter, it doesn't matter if you went once or countless times. We were groomed, we were manipulated, and we were taken advantage of. For decades, survivors have been suffocated by speculation. We've been mocked, we've been doubted, we've been re-traumatized, while those responsible hide in secrecy. Why don't we deserve justice? This is not partisan. However, this is very political, as the only path to justice is through our political system. And this is about justice. This is about accountability. This is about protecting the innocence of our children and honoring the dignity of survivors. Everywhere we turn, the story...
Irina is informing us that the large portion of the documents that they're saying they released has already been released. So she says the committee said most of the 33,295 pages released, including court filings, are already publicly available. This is the first batch of the release. And good morning, Lisa.
We are tired. However, we are not going away. We will not stop or give up, and we will be on the front lines of this battle. We are no longer scared. And let's be clear, there were so many enabling adults. Those enablers actively turned a blind eye, and they are the greatest danger.
Yes.
And you know who you are, as do we. You allowed us to be abused for a fat check and a cushy life, which you still have. And to those in power, hear us clearly. Do your job. Release what needs to be released.
Yes.
And hold those responsible accountable. Survivors, sorry. Thank you. Survivors deserve peace. Survivors deserve truth. Survivors deserve justice. And to my fellow survivors, your voice matters, your story matters, and you matter. Together we are louder than the silence. Together we will not stop until justice is done.
Good afternoon. Wow, a lot of people showed out for us today. I wasn't expecting all this support. What an incredible feeling, and thank you for everybody for being here. I'm going to try to make this as quick so the other girls don't have to be crunching for time. My name is Haley Robson. I came out in 2019 on the documentary Filthy Rich. I have been very focused on bringing more awareness to all of the survivors. I am so proud to stand with them. I am so proud to be up here to support them because they deserve all the love and support. And I just want to say to the women who chose this moment to come out for the very first time about your abuse, I cannot think of a more important, greater purpose in life than to stand in solidarity when time is against us, when the politicians have made us an enemy, when the world is watching and everybody is hoping for some type of result. Thank you for choosing this moment for the first time to be so brave to come out and stand in solidarity. I prayed for a moment. I prayed for this moment where God would fill us with reinforcements. I want to acknowledge all the women, unfortunately, that couldn't be here today because I think that is the only list of real great importance, and we should never forget the voices that were not only silenced, but that are not here today, and we should never forget the sacrifices that they made. So today I would like to take a moment for Virginia, Sky, Danielle, and Carolyn. Their voices were just as powerful, and they were silenced just as much. And for some reason, I can feel their spirit, especially Virginia's today. She would be so proud, and she would be so beside herself to see this one moment we have all came together to unite. And for our government, and for the politicians who have taken our trauma and have weaponized it against us, making it unbearable, making it unlivable, making it hard to move on in a life that we wish to live in happiness and joy and peace and injustice that can only come from within at this point. And we have gotten to this point. Shame on you. Shame on you for using our trauma to weaponize this moment. We are not going to be fooled by your trickery. We are not going to be fooled by the lies, by the conspiracy theories. We are the keys to this situation. We have the truth. And the FBI knows the truth. The government knows the truth. You may pull the wool over the sheep's eyes. The disgrace. But we are the keys. We know who was involved. We know the game. We know the players. And we are sitting here for 20 years waiting for you to get up and do something. Well, guess what? Your time is up, and now we're doing it.
do you follow that? Hello, everybody. My name is Wendy Pasante, and I was abused by Jeffrey Epstein when I was 14 years old. Tremble. It's waking up at 3 a.m. with my heart racing and not knowing why.
And look around. I want to acknowledge what it feels like to be in the presence of these incredibly brave, powerful women that I stand up here with. I am so empowered by each and every one of your fortitude, and I am following in the brave footsteps of those that came before me. While we each have our own stories and walk down different paths of life, we are bonded together as survivors. When I look into these beautiful faces, I am reminded that we all started our journeys with big hopes and dreams. Jeffrey Epstein and his co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, stole and systematically destroyed those dreams. We are a mosaic of shattered hopes and dreams at their hands. As an aspiring dancer, the manipulation came in forms of offering me dance studio space, discussing opportunities to meet with ballet masters, and aiding a very ill family member of mine, none of which would ever come to pass. Instead, I was left in a cycle of abuse that wore me down and broke me. When it happened, I would have to completely disassociate. Similar to a coma, my brain would need to protect itself, so I would retreat in choreographing in my own head to escape the cruel acts that were being carried out on my body. After, I would go to the studio bundled in giant, baggy clothing. I remember standing there, staring in the mirror as if it were an empty void. I was past the point of tears. There was nothing left. I was a hollow shell of myself. I could no longer watch my body move, let alone dance. He had taken something sacred from me. 2 decades later, I am still experiencing lingering effects of what happened to me as a teenager. I am just one story in the mosaic of women taking back their power by confronting the horrific truths of their pasts due to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. We stand here today in the nation's capital for no other reason than to say that women's voices will not be marginalized. We stand together as a mosaic of stories, but we're also finding our way back to ourselves. We are reclaiming the fragmented shards of the hopes and dreams of our past to paint a better future for the next generation of women. This story has come to Washington to be told. We will be heard. Thank you.
My name is Jess Michaels, and I'm a 1991 Jeffrey Epstein survivor. 27 years. For 27 years, I thought I was the only one that Jeffrey Epstein raped. I believed I was alone, and I was kept silent by the shame that was inside me and by the fear outside in the world. But I wasn't the only one. None of us were. And what once kept us silent now fuels that fire and the power of our voices. We are not the footnotes in some infamous predator's tabloid article. We are the experts and the subjects of this story.
Yes.
We are the proof that fear did not break us.
Yes.
And we don't just speak for ourselves, but for every survivor whose story is still unspoken.
Yes.
For those not with us today. For Virginia, whose courage lit the path and opened the door for us to walk through. This is what power looks like. Survivors united, voices joined, refusing to be dismissed. Know this, justice and accountability are not favors from the powerful.
Yes.
They are obligations decades overdue. This moment began with Epstein's crimes, but it's going to be remembered for survivors demanding justice, demanding truth, demanding accountability, and we will not stop until survivor voices shape justice, transform culture, and define the future. We are no longer whispers. We are one powerful voice too loud to ignore, and we will never be silenced again. Thank you.
Okay, and then it cut over. I'm gonna have to quickly shift over to this and put the volume up because now lawmakers.
We are going to bring up Eric Faduli.
So much influence and power in this situation. Please use that influence and power to help us, because we need it now, and this country needs it now. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Annie Farmer, and I was 16 years old when I was flown to New Mexico to spend a weekend with Epstein and Maxwell. That same year, 1996, my sister, Maria Farmer, reported what happened to me there, along with reporting her own assault at their hands and their theft of sensitive photos of herself, of me, and our younger sister that she had taken for her work as a figurative painter. I am now 46 years old. 30 years later,
We are now live in front of the Capitol.
or why Epstein and his associates were allowed to harm hundreds, if not thousands, of other girls and young women. We have never been told whether those images were found when they discovered a large amount of child sexual abuse material on his property.
I think that's Marjorie Green Taylor, aka Dog the Bounty Hunter, on the right.
Us recreate the abuse cycle, the betrayal that occurs can be just as damaging as the original trauma. This happens when survivors of these crimes are not believed, when our well-being is not weighed as heavily as those who have more resources or more privilege, and when perpetrators of these crimes are given a platform rather than the survivors of them. For so many years, it felt like Epstein's criminal behavior was an open secret. Not only did many others participate in the abuse, it is clear that many were aware of his interest in girls and very young women and chose to look the other way because it benefited them to do so. They wanted access to his circle and his money. Their choice to align with his power left those of us who had been harmed by this man and his associates feeling very isolated. I could never have imagined being here today and this chorus of support that we have all received. I have been sent so many notes and messages from people with no direct connection to this case who've expressed their solidarity with us. And I believe that is because, in part, as Anushka explained so well, this is an extremely widespread issue of child sexual abuse, of sexual exploitation, of sexual violence. This affects almost every family in some way. From my conversations with women in these last few days and from all of the support that we've received, it's very clear to me that we are not going away, we are not going to be quiet, and we are not going to give up. And I ask the American public to stand with us and not give up. At a time with record high levels of distrust in our institutions and a perception that there are two Americas, one for those with power and privilege and one for everyone else, passing this Epstein transparency bill is one important step that can be taken to prove to Americans that the government does not side with sexual perpetrators. A thorough public review of this information is an important step in preventing the type of systemic failures that have occurred in this case and harmed all of us. An important step towards healing for those involved. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to say thank you, everyone, for being here today on this very powerful and special day for all of us here. My name is Marina Lacerda. I was minor victim 1 in federal indictment of Jeffrey Epstein in New York in 2019. I was one of dozens of girls that I personally know who were forced into Jeffrey's mansion on 9 East 71 Street in New York City when we were just kids. Today is the first time that I ever speak publicly about what happened to me. I never thought that I would find myself here. The only reason that I am here is because it feels like the people who matter in this country finally care about what we have to say. As an immigrant from Brazil, I feel empowered knowing that the little girl struggling to get by at 14 and 15 years old finally has a voice. For the first time, I feel like I matter as an American. I was only 14 years old when I met Jeffrey. It was the summer of high school. I was working 3 jobs to try to support my mom and my sister when a friend of mine in the neighborhood told me that I could make $300 to give an older guy a massage. It went from a dream job to the worst nightmare. Jeffrey assistant Leslie Groff would call me and tell me that I needed to be at the house so often that I ended up dropping out of high school before 9th grade. And I never went back. From 14 to 17 years old, I went and worked for Jeffrey instead of receiving an education. Every day I hoped that he would offer me a real job as one of his assistants or something important. I would finally have made it big, as, like we say, the American dream. That day never came. I had no way out. I was, until he finally told me that I was too old. There are many pieces of my story that I can't remember, no matter how hard I try. The constant state of wonder causes me so much fear and so much confusion. My therapist says that my brain is just trying to protect itself, but it's so hard to begin to heal knowing that there are people out there who know more about my abuse than I do. The worst part is that the government is still in possession right now of the documents and information about that could help me remember and get over all of this maybe and help me heal. They have documents with my name on them that were confiscated from Jeffrey Epstein's house and could help me put the pieces of my own life back together. But I don't have any of it. And I know the same is true for many of these women. We are here to support this bill today, not only for transparency, but for the American people. But if the government is going to release these documents to the public, describing the crimes committed by Jeffrey Epstein and others, the least that they can do is give me my documents that they have about me. The other survivors deserve the same respect from our government. While identifying information must be redacted to the public, it is equally important to provide the victims themselves with unredacted information. I will never forget when the FBI agent showed up in my door in 2008. Jeffrey Epstein hired a lawyer to represent me, or more like to represent him, I like to say. I couldn't ask any questions, and I had no idea what was going on. I was terrified. Until today, I think most of us are still terrified. I thought somebody was going to kill me. I thought something was going to happen to my sister or my mother. It went further out to even maybe thinking something would happen in Brazil with my family. And then one day, the lawyer said that everything was just going to go away. Like nothing happened. I didn't need to testify. When I asked him why, he gave no explanation. That was it. So why? Why was I never called to testify then? We could have saved so many women. We could have saved so many lives from being abused. Why did he get away with it in 2008? Why was he able to go on in the abuse with hundreds of girls after the Florida investigation? Why didn't they let me testify to help stop him? Our government could have saved so many women, but Jeffrey Epstein was too important and those women didn't matter. Why? Well, we matter now. We are here today, and we are speaking, and we are not going to stop speaking. Today, I stand here with the women who have really helped me to find the strength to come out and come forward to share my story for the very first time. Together, we are stronger than ever. While she may not be with us, Virginia Roberts, we will continue to use our voices to strengthen yours always. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Courtney Wild. I just wanted to take a second and just have a moment of silence for all the women survivors that aren't here with us today, that passed away due to anxiety, depression, trying to keep up with this case. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. My name is Courtney Wild. I was only 14 years old when I was introduced to Jeffrey Epstein by a 13-year-old friend of mine. The details of the abuse that he inflicted on me for years is not important today. In 2028, I was cooperating with the federal government in the investigation of Jeffrey Epstein. They sent me a letter telling me to be patient because this was going to be a lengthy investigation, but at the same time, they refused to talk to me and tell me what was going on. So I hired an attorney, Brad Edwards, because I was hopeful to get some answers. When I walked into his office at 19 years old, Brad sued the government for refusing to tell me what was going on under the Crime Victims' Rights Act. The only reason anyone ever found out that the government had already given Jeffrey Epstein immunity through the non-prosecution agreement was because our lawsuit forced the government to tell us. Otherwise, nobody would even know that today. Sometimes it's hard to believe that I had to sue the United States just to learn that my abuser was given immunity. I started as Jane Doe, but I decided I was proud enough to take on our country, and I was on the right side of history. We fought the government for 10 years to prove that the government violated our rights as crime victims in the Crime Victims' Rights in order to protect a pedophile. We had to win the 11th Circuit Court Appeals to force the government to turn over thousands of pages of emails between Jeffrey Epstein and the government. Those emails provided the proof that the government worked very hard with Jeffrey Epstein to violate our rights. Why? Why did the government work so hard to protect Jeffrey and not so hard to protect me and my other innocent friends? Why was Jeffrey so important to the government, and why was I so insignificant? Why did nobody but our lawyers care before now? It seems people have only started to care because of Twitter and politics. But I would like to say this has nothing to do with politics. This is not a blue thing or a red thing. This is an everyone thing. We can all agree on this. The injustice that has happened here. Multiple, over and over. Everybody that talks about this just seems to make it worse. We need transparency. It's time for us to see beyond the curtain. Why was Jeffrey Epstein so protected? Who is still being protected? And who protected them all, so the world can understand how Jeffrey was able to abuse so many of us for so long. I was lucky to have Brad Edwards, Brittany Henderson, and Paul Cassell take on my case pro bono and fight fearlessly over 20 years' time. I would like to thank them, and I'd also like to ask the Trump administration to please sign off on the Crime Victims' Rights Reformed Act, the Courtney Wild Crime Victims' Rights Reformed Act that's we're trying to get passed here so we can close the loopholes in the CVRA case that Epstein's attorney used to their benefit to get away with this. Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Must have been two different pressers? Because this guy already spoke at the first one that we saw. It was just at a different location.
And above all, the brave survivors who have entrusted us with the privilege of speaking today on behalf of Virginia Roberts Giuffre, as her family. We are here today because we support H.Res.581, the Epstein Files Transparency Act, in its entirety. But as much as this bill is about shining a light on truth, it's not just about the bill. This is about justice. This is about survivors. This is about justice against the rich and powerful who have stolen something from these women and many children at the time, their freedom. The freedom to live their life without mental and physical scars that have been inflicted upon them by those who thought they were untouchable. The same freedom that these monsters took from these survivors, they should never be afforded. They should never be allowed to continue their lives with impunity. Let's be clear. This is not a political issue. This is not about left or right. This is about humanity. This is about doing what's right. And this is about ensuring that the future we leave behind isn't one where the powerful can hide behind their wealth, their influence, and their money to evade justice. Our plea to you, whether you're a dad, a mom, a brother, or a sister, look your young ones in the face. Look them in the eye and tell them you didn't stand against the very people who raped, molested, and preyed upon children and young women. Tell them you were willing to negotiate a deal. Money should never be what makes something right or wrong. If you vote no, your stance will be clear. You will be choosing to stand on the side of the rich and powerful, allowing money to buy your way out of the consequence. But here's my one ask. Look these survivors in the eye and tell them why. Then look the people of the United States in the eye and tell them why. And then, when you're alone, look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself why. Virginia said it best, and I quote, "I have physical and mental scars that will never heal. I have memories that will never go away. They say time can heal, but this won't. Not until the justice system makes an example out of these people with so-called privileges. I just call it money. The only time I can begin to heal is when their freedom is taken from them, just like they did to me and literally thousands of other victims. The survivors of this horrific abuse are watching. The American people are watching. And history is watching. Which side will you be on?" Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jenna-Lisa Jones, and I was only 14 years old when my friend brought me over to Jeffrey Epstein's house in Palm Beach in 2003. I had a terrible home life, but I was such an innocent kid then. I always did my best in school, and I had such a positive outlook on life. Until that day that I met Jeffrey, I have never been more scared in my life than I was that first time that he hurt me. I remember crying the entire way home, thinking about how I couldn't ever tell anyone about what actually happened in that house. This guy was so rich and had so many pictures with so many famous people, and no one would have ever believed me if I told them. I want to thank Congressman Rowe and Congressman Thomas Massey for having me here today. It was really hard for me to find my voice and to become strong enough to speak about my abuse. I didn't come forward until 2019, and even then it was like I was afraid of a ghost. I know that I was just a little kid, but sometimes I still feel like it is my fault that this happened. Being given the opportunity to speak at the United States Capitol building about something that is so important, not just to me and the women before you, but to the entire country. Together, we can finally make a change. And that is thanks to the people like these two congressmen and their teams who actually care about the victims. If you are a member of Congress and you are listening to all of us speak here today, please really listen to us. Please vote for this bill to be passed. Please recognize how important it is for transparency relating to Jeffrey Epstein. Whether you are a Democrat or a Republican, this does not matter. This is not about sides. You are an American and you are a person who has chosen to serve in an elected position to stand up for those you represent who cannot always stand up for themselves. We are those people. We are the Americans that you promised to protect. And we need your help. Please, President Trump, pass this bill and help us. Make us feel like our voices are finally being heard. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Haley Robson. I was a 16-year-old high school student athlete who made good grades and had high aspirations for college when I was recruited and asked by a classmate of mine alongside with a 20-year-old male if I wanted to give an old rich guy a massage. But what high school girl would not want to do that? That day changed my life forever. And when I got into the massage room, Jeffrey Epstein undressed and asked me to do things to him. My eyes welled up with tears, and I have never been more scared in my life. When it was over, he paid me $200 and requested in exchange that I bring a girl each time to make another $200. I told him I did not want to do that, and then he gave me an ultimatum. Either you come here and massage me when I call you, or you bring me friends of yours to massage, and I will give you $200 per girl for each time she comes. I felt and hoped to never hear from him again, but he called me every day. He was so wealthy and powerful, and he would not let me go. I felt I had no choice. If I disobeyed him, I knew something bad would happen. So knowing I did not want to be sexually abused, I started to bring him other girls from my high school, and he paid me $200 for bringing them. I just hoped each time it would be the last time. One day, the stepmom of one of the girls brought him and called the police on Jeffrey Epstein. The police then called me in for questioning. I had told them the truth despite the fact that I was a teenager and a minor, and I was able to tell the police the names of all the other victims. The police treated me like a criminal. I had, by this time, had turned 18. I had been with Jeffrey since I was 16 and for 2 years. So they had told me So they told me I was going to be arrested. My name was then distributed to the press as a co-conspirator of my abuser, who I detested. My entire world was crashing in around me, and I started being threatened and bullied, till this day still receiving death threats. I was singled out and for many years had to suffer a smear campaign of lies about me because of the way that I was portrayed by the press. The press made me out to be a predator when I was just a 16-year-old little girl who was sexually abused by a powerful man and an evil man. For years, I had no friends. My boyfriend was murdered, and there was nowhere to turn. The government, after investigating more, learned that I was true a victim, but the damage was done and it was too late. There was no way to undo the harm the press had caused me. In 2019, I met Brad Edwards and Brittany Henderson. They changed my life and they believed in me and have helped me to finally heal. Healing is a process, and I may never get there. But the passage of this bill requiring the government to produce all the evidence that it has gathered on Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell is a huge component of healing for me and for the many other women who have suffered for so long. For many reasons. First, we and the rest of the world need answers. Why was he so protected? And why didn't anyone ever care to stop him? It doesn't take a brain surgeon to know that if he is spending thousands of dollars a day paying high school girls he abuses and had a lot of access to cash. I learned through my attorneys in the JP Morgan class action case that there were years when his staff withdrew over $1 million in cash a year. Was that not a big enough red flag? There were wire transfers to other victims, and the government did not protect us. The banks did not protect us. So lift the curtain on these files and be transparent. Every single time a new conspiracy gets circulated in the media, whether he is still alive, what powerful person had him murdered, who was on the Epstein client list, and there are names going around on TikTok and Instagram, we, the survivors, are suffering severely. We take our kids to school and everyone is talking about it. We can't read the news or do anything without hearing crazy stories that are only able to live on because the government continues to hide the evidence and the truth. So people just make up stories. Those stories hurt. They hurt real people who have already been hurt. And we have lost so many Epstein victims to suicide, and maintaining the real truth in secrecy only allows for conspiracy theorists to tell lies that drives up our anxiety and fears and will continue to lead to more pain, more suffering, and honestly, more deaths of innocent victims. It's time you do is right by us. Unseal all the documents. We are requesting transparency, and I am requesting every congressman and woman that goes against this bill be outed. I want to know. Thank you.
Here's a clearer breakdown of the banks known to have been involved.
Hi there, my name is Lisa Phillips, and I'm the host of award-nominated podcast.
When we're done, I'll
From Now On,
read out the banks that are allegedly involved with Epstein.
supporting survivors. I want to thank all of my survivor sisters who came before me today. I'll be very short. In the year 2000, I was taken to Jeffrey Epstein's island while on a photo shoot on a nearby island. Who I saw and what I experienced there was a glimpse into a very dark and disturbing world. For years after, I tried to avoid Jeffrey, but he had introduced me to Katie Ford, the owner of the Ford Modeling Agency. Epstein's reach went to the very top of fashion, arts, and entertainment.
Good morning, Lori.
This did not just happen to underage girls in Florida. In New York City, hundreds of young, ambitious women were abused by him. Epstein was not just a serial predator, he was an international human trafficker. And many around him knew, many participated, and many profited. And yet, he was protected. So I stand here today for every woman who has been silenced, exploited, and dismissed. We are not asking for pity. We are here demanding accountability, and I'm demanding justice. Congress must choose. Will you continue to protect predators, or will you finally protect survivors? And also, I would like to announce here today, us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know who were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details.
That's an interesting angle. I mean, been wondering why they haven't done that. I mean, we're all waiting for the list officially, but these victims would know the names better than anyone, right?
Hello, my name is Shantae Davies, and I'm here before you today as a survivor of decades of pain, trauma, and betrayal at the hands of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, and the people who enabled them, and a government that for far too long refused to help. In 2002, I was living in California, a young woman with high aspirations of becoming an actress. I was already beginning to make a name for myself in the industry. A person I trusted, someone I thought was a friend, invited me to meet a powerful woman who could help advance my career. That woman happened to be Ghislaine Maxwell. I was asked to give her a massage, though I had almost no experience, and when I did, she praised me and promised introductions to someone enormously powerful, someone who could change the course of my life, and that man was Jeffrey Epstein. At first, I was an excited young woman on top of the world. Epstein flew me to his private island. He listened to my dreams, promised to help, but his promises came with a catch. The abuse began. He told me to keep it secret. He manipulated me with with quid pro quo I did not consent to, but I felt I had no one to turn to. He was too powerful. I was just one of the many young women trapped in his orbit. I was even taken on a trip to Africa with former President Bill Clinton and other notable figures. In those moments, I realized how powerless I was. If I spoke out, who would believe me? Who would protect me? Epstein himself was the most powerful leader of our country. Epstein surrounded himself, with the most powerful leaders of our country and the world. He abused not only me, but countless others, and everyone seemed to look away. The truth is, Epstein had a free pass. He bragged about his powerful friends, including our current president, Donald Trump. It was his biggest brag, actually. And while what I endured will haunt me forever, I live every day with PTSD. I live as a mother trying to raise my child while distrusting a world that has betrayed me. This kind of trauma never leaves you. It breaks families apart. It shapes the way we see everyone around us. But one thing is certain, unless we learn from this history, monsters like Epstein will rise again. There are files, government files, that hold the truth about Epstein, who he knew, who owed him, who protected him, and why he was allowed to operate for so long without consequence. Why was Maxwell the only one held accountable when so many others played a role? Why does the government hide this information from the public? This secrecy is not protection, it's complicity. And as long as the truth is buried, justice will remain out of reach. That is why this bill matters. Passing it will, bless you, ensure that the suffering of survivors is not in vain. Passing it will bring accountability, transparency, and prevention. It will help protect the next generation of predators who seek to place themselves above the law through wealth, influence, and connections. This is not just my story. It is about every survivor who carries invisible scars. It's about the weight we live with daily. It is about the families broken and the futures stolen. So I ask you, President Trump and members of Congress, why do we continue to cover up sexual abuse and assault? Who are we covering for? Let the public know the truth. We cannot heal without justice. We cannot protect the future if we refuse to confront the past. Thank you.
Just give a round of applause for all the courage and strength that the survivors have shown. We now will take a few questions. You can always get Congressman Massey, me, or Congresswoman Green in the hallways and other places. If you have questions for us, that's fine. But I wanted to see first if you have questions for the lawyers and the survivors, and Brad will facilitate any of the questions to the survivors. Yes?
Yeah, this question would be for the survivors, Mr. Evans. The president has said that this Epstein issue is a hoax, is the word that he used. Can we get your reactions to what you think when you hear him say that?
I'll answer that. Mr. President Donald J. Trump, I am a registered Republican, not that that matters because this is not political. However, I cordially invite you to the Capitol to meet me in person so you can understand this is not a hoax. We are real human beings. This is real trauma.
What does it feel like emotionally to hear that?
It's being gutted from the inside out. Not that I would know what that feels like, but I imagine it's the anxiety buildup with the depression and the survival mode, and then your nervous system goes limp and ironically is shot. And it feels like you just want to explode inside because nobody, again, is understanding that this is a real situation. These women are real. We're here in person. To say that it's a hoax is just not... Please humanize us. I would like Donald J. Trump and every person in America and around the world to humanize us, to see us for who we are and to hear us for what we have to say. There is no hoax. The abuse was real. Now, what goes on behind closed doors, I can't speak for that. What happens around the world politically, I cannot speak for that. But I am here with all of these women, including our attorneys, and I would be more than happy to meet with him, and I will meet him halfway.
Ms. Edwards, I wonder if any of the victims could respond to the news from recently about Ghislaine Maxwell being transferred to a lower security prison
Who wants that one? You want that one?
About her
Getting
transfer.
Oh, yeah.
I'm happy to speak to that. We were horrified to learn that she had been transferred to a prison camp. She is someone who was found guilty by a jury of sex trafficking. She not only, we often hear that she procured women for Jeffrey, which I think is a very sort of polite and minimizing term. She also participated in the abuse. She was a major architect of the scheme. And the fact that she's painted herself as a victim, I think is disgusting. And it was horrifying, I think, to us that we were not told about her prison transfer. We found out about it in the news.
Just
1 minute, I think Anushka maybe.
So, Anushka DeGiorgio, I testified alongside Annie at the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. I was horrified when I found out not only had Ghislaine Maxwell been transferred to what's called a low security. It's really is like a holiday camp, and then afterwards I got a notification from the Department of Justice telling me that this was going to happen, when it had already happened. This woman abused children.
So that is the flyover that they had scheduled over the White House and Capitol area.
Maxwell for over 10 years. Ghislaine Maxwell was present for some of my abuse at the hand of Jeffrey Epstein. She was present, she was complicit, she was enabling, and it is appalling and disgusting. And it's one of my worst nightmares that she not only be transferred, but at the possibility that's very much going around that she might be pardoned. This is not okay, guys. This is not okay.
And I just want to add that I think it sends a very dangerous message to our country, to the young people in our country, that someone that we all know is aware of these crimes could be given a pass.
And just for the last one, the last survivor who just spoke, the last survivor who just spoke, she said that Epstein would brag about her relationship with Donald Trump. Could she please elaborate about that?
Shante.
Get to the microphones. Get close.
Yeah, I did say that. My first trip to the Palm Beach residence, I drove there from the airport with Ghislaine Maxwell, and Jeffrey and Ghislaine were always very boastful about their friends, their famous or powerful friends, and his biggest brag forever was that he was very good friends with Donald Trump. He had an 8x10 framed picture of him on his desk with the two of them. Like, they were very close.
Go ahead. What? 1 second. 1 second.
Could you clarify, will the public get to see about the list?
So, Lisa, what's your envision here?
Is it going to go to the public or just amongst the survivors?
No, we're reaching out to survivors that are scared.
So, come on up.
We're reaching out to survivors that are scared to come forward and that also know who they were trafficked to. So that's the list that we're compiling. We're not quite sure, how we're going to release that, or even if we're going to. The Department of Justice needs to release the list.
Right,
yes.
For folks at home, they might be confused. Survivors know the names. You've seen these powerful people. Why can't you say the names? Could you just explain?
Why do we have to say the names when the government knows the names? And we're also scared to do so. Look what's happened to so many of the survivors that have revealed names.
I find it offensive.
I think it's also worth saying that having represented, I think, between our firm and Boyce Schiller, hundreds of victims, and we've talked to them about the various people that they were farmed out to. So we've created somewhat of a list. Most of these individuals, the victims, are very scared to say these names because they could get sued, they're going to get attacked, and nobody protected them the first time. And that was against one person. So is there a list? There is a list, but just to dispel kind of the common theme here, every one of these women was abused by Jeffrey Epstein, and his scheme was to personally abuse women. When they reached a certain age, he did farm a section of them, some of them, out to some of his friends. That doesn't mean all of his friends. With that said, I'm more than happy to assist in helping create the list behind the scenes and see what we do with it.
But if someone's interested,
Go ahead.
Hold on. I think if someone's interested in prosecuting, they may have something different to say about sharing a list. But they're not sharing a list for nothing to happen, and that's the experience that they've had for all of these years.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Speaker and others have said that the people he met with yesterday had concerns about your names being released if this bill were passed. And some people I talked to today are not signing the discharge petition because they say you don't want them to. Can you clarify if that is accurate?
Do any of the survivors here not want the bill to pass?
First of all, our legislation, Ro Khanna and I went through this. We talked about this, and we were very careful to make sure that there is an exception so that personally identifiable information, not just their names, but anything they could be identified by, would not be disclosed.
And can you speak to that as survivors yourself?
But I think all of them are on the same page, that they want everything released.
Want the bill to pass.
Yes, they unequivocally redact personally identifying information and release everything else. Okay. Uh-oh. Yeah, sure.
This is the first time, we understand correctly, you have never before gone public with your story and to share this. Can you help us understand why today, why now, and why here?
Well, it is not okay for us to be silenced, and it's not okay for Jeffrey Epstein and everybody else to be put on a pedestal. I think everybody needs to hear from us because we know what went on, right? And there is not only me who's been silenced, there are hundreds of women that are silenced. My hope is to stop this abuse for the future, right? For people that are coming up, for women. My daughter, for example, these women have daughters. They most definitely don't want that anymore. And I think mainly this is therapy for all of us too. You know, we want to be heard. Nobody also has never asked me to speak. That's also another thing. So I can say for all of us here, we are here. We want this bill to pass. It is very important. Okay. And we need transparency. We are tired.
I think it's important for folks to remember that people with trauma, especially that starts at an early age, are generally fucked up. They're fucked up people. And I'm throwing myself into that bracket as well. They walk away with PTSD or complex PTSD, borderline personality traits. That's what happens when you abuse someone from an early age. So I don't know. I'm a little reluctant to judge people based on what they're saying, not saying, afraid to say, their sort of general demeanor, because I believe them.
We're not going to be silenced anymore. We will be speaking moving forward. Wherever we need to be, we will be, and we need to pass this.
Go ahead.
Now we hear from DOJ that there's no list. But for all victims, what do you guys think? I know you're working on your own list, but do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein had a list?
Yeah. So there's not a list.
Yeah.
So here's what it was. Just like you heard everybody today, Jeffrey Epstein created through an organization that of enablers, of people that were on his payroll. It was a complicated scheme where others should still be investigated because they helped to enable him and operate this scheme. Without those people, he could not have done this. But the purpose was for him to personally abuse people.
Yeah, and I don't know. We believe them, but some statements are true. I can speak for my family, right? I believe my sister about the abuse that she endured, but I don't believe my sister in the present day about a lot of things. And again, that goes back to my previous statement that abuse victims, a lot of attributes that they gain in adulthood are fucked up, including the ability to be truthful.
For a foreign intelligence operation?
I think that the safest thing for me to say is all files should come out, whether it is with the CIA, FinCEN, SEC, FBI. I'm not just making these up haphazardly. I'm giving you a roadmap where to look. Go ahead. I'll go first and then I'll let them. They're much more important than me, but I don't understand why it's a hostile act. I can tell you that I talked to President Trump back in 2009, and several times after that, he didn't think that it was a hoax then. In fact, he helped me. He got on the phone. He told me things that were helping our investigation. Now, our investigation wasn't looking into him, but he was helping us then. He didn't treat this as a hoax. So at this point in time, I would hope that he would revert back to what he was saying to get elected, which is, I want transparency. This about face that occurred, none of us understand it. In fact, I don't understand how this is an issue that's even up for...
It's a good point, because along the campaign, Trump did promise that the release of the Epstein files was inevitable, and then we've been hit by delay and distraction ever since.
The world should know who he is, who protected him, and the other people that are out there to be investigated need to be investigated. Go ahead.
People who are currently serving in government, who are named, who you know of, are in these files, who you had relations with, anything of that sort, who Jeffrey Epstein connected you with? Are you willing to say yes or no?
I don't think I can answer that. Sorry.
I think she's referring to my speech.
Hi, Anushka DeGiorgio. I have been threatened. I was threatened by phone. My daughter was threatened when I was volunteering to participate in, by means of being a witness in a civil lawsuit that Virginia Giuffre was bringing against Ghislaine Maxwell. I have been followed. I have been stalked. I have been followed not only by journalists, but by people who do not get out of the car and do not try and talk to me and just drive behind me as I drive my daughter to school. So the fear is very real for us. I have also been in multiple situations with both Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, where they have been direct and indirect about implying and saying that if I was to talk, if I was to bring any kind of trouble, then there would be severe consequence, including death.
Just to add to that, Maxwell also threatened my sister Maria Farmer. When the FBI did nothing about her initial report, she reported individually at that time, and then in 2002, we spoke to a reporter at Vanity Fair, telling our stories, fearful that perhaps other people were being harmed. We were not. We believed that was going to make a difference. We believed that would be put in print, and that story was crushed, and it was because of their power. And
yeah, but one of the victims made a point too. I agree with that, Lori. But these banks, right? There's a couple banks here I'm going to go through that were complicit as well. She made a good point. Like, you can't go to the casino and win $10,000 without reporting it to the government. How are these people doing wire transfers and taking out $1 million in cash without raising any red flags?
I just want to say one thing that's very clear. When people say, please share names, there are names that are very well known, like that of Les Wexner, who everyone knows supplied an enormous amount of Epstein's financial wealth and allowed this operation to happen. So it's, I think, confusing to many of us why there have not been more ramifications for him, and he's been seen as a victim when clearly I believe there's more to it.
But, yep.
You represented Virginia Roberts for years. She eventually had to recant the allegations that she made against Alan Dershowitz. She alleged that.
Don't answer. We're not talking. All right, next question.
Next question.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Why is it that she should be?
Yeah, no, we're not answering your question. Anybody else?
Go ahead.
About the interview that was given to Ghislaine Maxwell.
There's a woman trying to say something.
That's better. Okay, ma'am, I think that you had a question.
When you talked in the past on
I don't know. If you want full transparency, I feel like you should answer every question, even if it's not the answer that people want to hear.
I don't know that we're able to reveal what we've seen and what we have not seen by way of protective order. But my point being in that circumstance was, if anybody wants answers, there's an easy place to get it. I told you where to get it. I said, the estate of Jeffrey Epstein has it. Serve a subpoena on them. They'll turn it over. And if we had served a subpoena on them in the past, they would have turned it over and we would have seen it. which I don't usually miss subpoenas like that. So there we go. Go ahead.
Just say one thing on that. You know, to your question about the allegations, there's a simple answer: release the files. Let the American public decide. Instead of harassing, I gave you your say. Look.
You're hired by Dershowitz.
But you know, you've been heard. And even Alan Dershowitz says, release the files. Release the files. That is the answer, and that's what we're here for. That is the. Yeah.
Sorry.
Throw him out. It's protected speech in journalism. What do you mean throw him out? What the fuck?
Can you elaborate on your interactions with Donald Trump back in 2009? And for any of the victims, did anyone ever see the president, well then not president yet, but did anyone ever see Trump with Epstein in any way?
I don't know who's. I don't think that we can answer that question. Did anybody see Trump with Epstein back then? This is really not a political thing. We want the passage of the bill, and this is not to call out President Trump. My point was that he was friendly back then, did not think that it was a hoax, and was trying to help. And now it seems like all of a sudden somebody's in his ear and he's not. So I'm hoping he'll come back to where he was back in 2009, be on the side of the victims and stand with us.
On the passage of the bill,
go ahead. Do you want to answer it? Teresa will step up.
I would, Teresa J. Home. Happy to speak on that, because what I will say is she got this airtime and platform. Her voice was elevated way before our voices were elevated here today. And that same calm, manipulative voice that she had, so polite there that day with Todd Blanche, was the same polite, coercive, manipulative voice that I heard as she was grooming me to then send me off to the home of Jeffrey Epstein, where he would assault me. So that's what she was doing for hours, speaking with me, building relationship with me, building trust with me, allowing me to believe that I was going to get this job, a dream job that I had been recruited from my college, flown across the country from Los Angeles to New York City to interview, so I thought. So her voice that day was the same voice that sent me off to a monster. So nothing can be believed from what she says, because she's been charged with perjury. I myself could sit there and listen, and as I did, I sat there and listened to this woman's voice lie. And there was no pushback from Todd Blanche, because does he even have the facts to be able to push back on her? We could sit there and push back. Why didn't we get to attend that? Why weren't we there that day? Or why wasn't even one of us consulted prior to that day and that meeting? And why on earth has she been moved from Florida to her, it basically is prison spa. I mean, let's be real. None of us were consulted. I found out, just like everyone here found out, through the media, through all of you. We found out about Ghislaine's transfer. So I'm very angry to sit there and listen. The feelings that come up listening to this woman's voice is repulsive. Yes, I would say it's triggering. We all work very hard on healing, and it still gets to us after 2 decades. It's a very long answer, but it's repulsive to sit there and listen to her voice in her interview.
Can we take two more questions? One over here.
We're done. We're not done. 2 more questions. What are we doing?
Sitting on evidence. I've held the evidence in my hands.
You don't see it? I think that there's nobody that's immune from us going after them if there's a legitimate action to take. So to the extent that that evidence exists, then show it to us, and we'll help in every way we can. We stand with the victims. Okay. One more.
Speak to, speaking of being threatened and being afraid to come forward with the story, to the case of Katie Johnson, who alleged that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein.
I don't think we can talk about. I don't think we can talk about that case. I do think it's worth saying, though, despite the comments that he made, Virginia Roberts Giuffre is an American hero. She is somebody without whom we would not be able to have this voice. She was the one who had courage to name names, speak out against people, and she was standing up against everybody at one time with an enormous amount of pressure.
And most of these women are here because of Virginia Roberts Giuffre.
All right, last one.
Lawmakers creeping up. He's like, I'd like one last word.
I don't think that anybody knows, but I can tell you that in the Oversight Committee meeting yesterday, they indicated that they were all for transparency, releasing the files, and asked us to hold them accountable. Isn't that right? Yes. They said hold them accountable, so we intend to hold them accountable. We're going to show them where to go with it, and as long as they're doing their job, they should. I'm going to turn it back over to Ro Khanna. Thank you.
Let me just say this. Let me say this. I think the people back who are testifying here today or speaking out today, they are American heroes. Let's give them another round of applause. And you say, look, Thomas, Marjorie, and I, we're huge believers in the First Amendment, and we believe in free speech, and we take abuse all the time. But you see, you see why it's so hard to do what they have done, because they come forward and you subject yourself to national scrutiny and national questioning. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart how appreciative I am and how proud I am of what you've done today. You've made a big difference. Before I bring on Marjorie and then Thomas will have the last word, I want to summarize three basic things that I heard from the survivors. First, they want to know why our government covered up for someone rich and powerful. Why is it that we have two Americas? People say, why do you need to release the Epstein files if Epstein is dead and Maxwell is in jail? Because we don't know who all was involved in the cover-up. Why are there rich and powerful people who didn't have justice? They want to know that. Second, many said it's important for their own closure. They don't know their own abuse. They want to understand what's in these files for themselves. And third, we heard that there are many others who obviously were involved. And they want to know, and the American people deserve to know what was there in those files. I actually think they're helping us come together as a country. I've never done a press conference with Marjorie Taylor Greene before. I've done some with Tubbs, but look, this country is divided and exhausted. This is one thing that we can come together on. And I was very clear with Thomas. This is not against President Trump. I would like nothing more than a Truth Social post for him after this press conference saying, just release the files. Be with Massie Khanna. This is about something much deeper. It is about bringing this country together to stand for America's kids, to restore trust, and to move this country forward. So thank you to the survivors for helping us do that. Now I want to introduce Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Dog the bounty hunter, folks.
For everyone watching at home, I think it's important to put yourself in these women's shoes. As you're questioning, why can't they just name the names? What you don't realize is they just told their stories of being raped and being abused, being victimized, being manipulated, being coerced, and basically held in a prison of captivity of sexual abuse while they were young teenagers and extremely young, vulnerable women. And in Jeffrey Epstein's home and the places they went with him, they saw the most powerful people in the world in his pictures, and they saw him with those people. Can you imagine how terrifying it would be to name names like that? These are some of the richest, most powerful people in the world. that could sue these women into poverty and homelessness. Yeah, it's a scary thing to name names, but I will tell you, I'm not afraid to name names. And so if they want to give me a list, I will walk in that Capitol on the House floor and I'll say every damn name that abused these women. I can do that for them, and I'd be proud to do it. Now, another thing, this is not about politics. And this is a boiling point in American history where the American people, just like Roe just said, there's become two Americas. There's the America for the rich and the powerful and the elite, where they never face any struggles or problems and never experience what real America goes through. And then there's forgotten America that faces all the problems and deals with all the issues and never gets justice for being sexually assaulted and raped by a monster. It shouldn't exist anymore. People are sick of it. So let's recognize the fact that the administration before and the one before it and the one before it and the one before it and before it never did anything about this. So this isn't one political party or the other. It's a culmination of everyone worked together to silence these women and protect Jeffrey Epstein and his cabal. And this is not just rich, powerful people. Think his drivers, his maids, his chefs, all the people, people that worked in his home, security guards. I heard one story from a young woman that was being raped by Jeffrey Epstein when he was out on work release while he was serving time in prison and had an ankle monitor on his leg. Guess what? There was a police officer outside that door. So this list of names is quite a list of names, and it doesn't extend just in the rich, powerful circles. It extends down to the very bottom where people were paid. And again, I will say this, there's victims suffering today in similar circumstances, and they're terrified to name the names of the people that are currently abusing them. And so with these brave, courageous women fighting this fight, this is a fight for women and children and any person that is facing sexual abuse and rape and captivity and human trafficking right now. And so here's what I ask you in the press. Don't go for salacious headlines. Go for the truth and defend these women and help those of us in Congress that are crossing our political party lines for doing the right thing and trying to do it together. And thank you, Roe, and thank you, Thomas. And now I recognize Thomas Massey from Kentucky.
Well, there's three branches.
I don't usually agree with her, but I agree with her here.
Accountable. And that's what we're doing here today in the People's House. We're standing in front of the People's House with real people, not a hoax. And they've told their story. We wanted to give them a platform to speak, and they've had it. They stepped up, and they were brave. But I also today hope that they would persuade my colleagues to join this effort. But I found out something today that happened that I wasn't expecting. They persuaded me to fight even harder. I'm not going to give up. And I want to end with this call to action. First, a call to action to my colleagues who, just an hour before this press conference, were prepared. They were given a fig leaf. We'll put a resolution on the floor so that you can say that you voted to protect the survivors. Their resolution doesn't really do anything. And that's the oldest trick in the swamp. When you want to kill the momentum, when you want to kill initiative, you introduce a placebo, a different bill that does nothing, and then try to pull the wool over the eyes of the American people. That's not going to happen this time. We demand real accountability. I encourage my colleagues, please, there's over 200 Republicans who have not signed this discharge petition. We only need 2 of them to sign it, and every Democrat will sign it, and that will get us the number we need to force this vote, to pass a law, not a polite request to the DOJ to police themselves. No, We need legally binding legislation to force that to happen. And my main call to action is to the people watching these live feeds that are going through these cameras right now. Congressmen, listen to you. Light up their phones. Burn down the phone lines here in Washington, D.C. Ask them the questions that these survivors wanted you to ask them. Why won't you be for transparency? Don't accept their answer that the bill has a flaw or that the survivors don't want it. We know that's not true. They wouldn't be fighting it so hard in this town if it wasn't the real bill. So with that, please call your congressman. Tell him or her to get on this bill and to stand up for these survivors. Thank you and God bless. That's the end.
Okay, that is the end of the press conference. Let me turn down the volume. We'll keep a video feed up there. I wanted to briefly go over, actually, for the first time, I'm going to add a stream marker to this. Okay. The banks that they were talking about that are complicit in this as well. The victims were speaking about $1 million withdrawals and wire transfers to victims and why banks didn't flag them. And the banks that are complicit or involved, JP Morgan Chase, Epstein maintained a client relationship with them from 1998 to 2013, ending only after reputational concerns surfaced. U.S. Virgin Islands sued JP Morgan in 2022, alleging the bank facilitated, sustained, and concealed the human trafficking network operated by Jeffrey Epstein. And then JP Morgan agreed to a $75 million settlement based on those allegations. The bank also settled a class action suit with Epstein's accusers for $290 million in June 2023. Other banks involved Deutsche Bank. Epstein opened over 40 accounts with Deutsche Bank between 2013 and 2018, long after his 2008 conviction. We have the Barclays via Jess Staley. Though not as directly tied to JP Morgan or Deutsche Bank, Barclays became entangled through its then CFO, Jess Staley, who previously managed Epstein's relationship at JP Morgan. Bank of America, Bank of New York Mellon. I don't think I'm saying that right. It's Mellon with two L's. Mellon? I don't know. As part of the Senator Ron Wyden's ongoing investigation, it was reported that four major banks, JP Morgan, Chase, Bank of America, Bank of New York Mellon, and Deutsche Bank flagged more than $1.5 billion in suspicious transactions involving Epstein after his 2019 arrest. That is a crazy amount of fucking money. So that's how the victims and others believe the banks are complicit. Wanted to show, we had a feature video, which was the Epstein 1-minute video. But on a lighter note, I also wanted to show this. Let me turn the volume up. This is, let me pause it actually right quick. So San Jose Boulevard is about 10 minutes away from us here in Jacksonville. This occurred there at a Chick-fil-A. A 5-year-old decided to wake up and no charges. The parents completely secured their house. They have a locked fence. Apparently the 5-year-old squeezed through the fence to make a visit for breakfast at Chick-fil-A, which I approve of. Here we go.
Table eating his breakfast with one of the managers. Hey, buddy.
Look at that.
We asked where he came from, and he kept saying he walked to Chick-fil-A.
You know where your house is, right, honey?
It's right across the street, right over there.
Okay, cool.
I have children, and the first thing you get that knot in your stomach because somebody else who's a parent is missing their child.
Are you gonna show us where you live?
Yeah.
Okay. We gathered him up. Look at that. Say thank you.
There's a cow for you.
I walked him to the back of my patrol car.
Are you going to get me in jail?
No, I'm not going to put you in jail. And we started checking the area. All right, buddy, where's your house at?
We were wondering where did this child come from.
Is it right here?
None of these doors are open. None of these garages are open.
I don't live in a duck pond.
So then he explained that he had a white fence.
That's where it is.
Right here?
Yeah.
And that's when we pulled up in the driveway. And then we realized that the call box wasn't working. We had no way to get through the gate.
How about this? My initial thoughts were, I can't believe he came out of here. It's the most secure house on that block in reference to having a fence all the way around, front, back, sides. Please.
I'm Phil.
And Victoria.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, do you have a son named William?
William.
Yeah, a little boy?
Yeah. Our 5-year-old William had an adventure a few weeks ago, and we live nearby very close.
Yeah, he was down at the Chick-fil-A.
Are you kidding me?
No, we have him in our police car. You want to come get him? You could just see the look on his face. It would be for any parent, including myself. It's disbelief.
It's kind of scary, actually, because we didn't realize what was going on until after we came out.
Do you have any idea how he got out?
Yeah, he just unlocked the front door, but he's never done that.
I was worried about him because was he scared? Was he crying? Was he upset?
Come on, little man. It must have been a Monday. We have the date there. It's closed on Sunday. He just couldn't wait. I do that sometimes.
Needed to, impress too much that you shouldn't do it again, things like that. I think he understood that it was serious, but we did talk about it.
He said he opened the gate and... Okay, also to note, JSO, this video is actually from JSO. They've added all the background music, like they've edited it. They do the most with their police videos. We're gonna look at the 1-minute video from Jeffrey Epstein that was released. The House or Congress or all those political people said that this was missing, contradicting what the DOJ said. You can see some movement shortly here in the background. Why this 1 minute was left out is anyone's guess at this point, but I saw it fly through this morning and figured to include it since we were listening to the victims. How can Drumpy say he didn't hang with Epstein? Is that really the narrative? I don't think that's been the narrative. I think as this has evolved, at least from what he said, that Epstein came over to his residence at Mar-a-Lago and was poaching his employees and taking employees, which happened to be, I think, younger girls. So you can see movement here. Something in all black moving. You see that in other areas as well. I don't know what or why this was left out, what it shows. I mean, obviously there's some movement here, but yeah. Other true crime.
His mother
Brian Koberger's
sent
mom.
him this article about the murders, after the murders, but of course before he was arrested, about Xana putting up a fight. And it seemed, I think, that he was on the phone with his
This
mother
was
right around
before
the time that this
Brian
text
Koberger
came
was
in.
arrested.
Can you tell me a little bit about her communications with him?
Yeah, sure. So November 17th just kind of stands out a little bit.
They arranged your trip back here. This is the young lady who's $30,000.
Florida does it differently.
Bought the car and the lawnmower and everything. And I looking in her face, how's that make you feel?
I feel bad already. I feel bad.
You're not looking at me.
I feel bad when it happened.
You didn't feel that bad. You spent $30,000 that she sent you. So.
How many other people did you spend their money?
No, that's the only money I got.
Florida.
Anything else?
So what did you spend my money
Chitwood brought the victim right to the suspect.
What kind of car did you
As
buy?
they extradited.
I hope you enjoyed it while you had it.
Just so you know, you have no bond. So you ain't getting out anytime soon. Because when you defraud my residents here, we take that really, really serious, and so does the judges. So we bring everybody back. Because this isn't right. This woman has spent her entire life working and caring for people. She's going to get her money back? Well, I wish that were true.
Well, I'm going to tell the judge to demand you give me my money back. And I don't care if it comes $1 a week. You're going to pay me back.
Oof. Florida is built different, and I think we have one last video here. I think.
All right, what are the...
No, we don't. That's it.
They arranged your trip back here. This is the young lady who's
Last but
30,000.
not least, I think I have some cooking lamb shanks today. That's what I'm doing immediately after this live stream. The house smells like it. We have tropical disturbance out there. I think it's going to become named Gabrielle. This is Jack's Beach. living her best life with the sea foam in the wind. And a random video of a giraffe knocking over a man. That is it. It's some weird timing. Yeah, seafoam is gross. It's not a significant amount, but it's in there. Whale and fish semen in that seafoam, among lipids and proteins and algae. Nasty. All right, well, no news on Emmanuel Haro, where his remains are following that case. Following another case of a college student that, I guess, concealed the corpse of her baby. Got arrested following that. I don't know what else other people are following, but I have lamb shakes cooking and they smell delicious. And that is it for the victims. It sounds like we saw two different press conferences, like one before the one in front of the Capitol. Some of the same faces there, all calling for the release of the Epstein files, the victims saying they are going to come together and put together a list of names themselves and perhaps release that, which is an interesting concept. I guess why not sooner? But here we are. I don't think there's anything else. If this is a topic that, remember, we're watching this from DC, but everyone here has lawmakers in their own local jurisdiction and state. So if this is an issue that you wish to push in terms of releasing this, the best thing is to go look up your local legislators, look up your local lawmakers, senators, congressmen, congresswomen for your area. Make the call. They sometimes have web forms on their websites where you can reach out and submit your feedback there. Let them know that you want this release as well. That is it for today, y'all. Be kind. If there's anything else this week that is interesting or worth following, you'll see me live. Otherwise, please leave your DNA on the like button. Thank you, Irina, for being here. I know our other mods weren't, so it's appreciated. Thank you for getting us information. Some people see this differently. Irina has been in these documents for a while and lives local to this case over near West Palm. So I know there's various opinions on all this. I think this is like one of those issues that whatever side of the aisle you're on, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, I think everybody is collectively calling for the release of these files. Why they're being delayed, we don't know. People have speculated that Trump is protecting someone, or Irina said that. I would probably agree with that. A lot of powerful players here. You can see that with the $1.5 billion that funneled through these banks, and that was after his arrest in 2019. So, all right, guys, you're welcome, Lori. Thanks for stopping by. I know we were supposed to start at 10:30, then it started early, and then sort of skipped around, but